Genesis 13:1-4. So Abram went up from Egypt to the Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From the Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier and where he had first built an altar. There, Abram called on the name of the Lord. Commentary. Notice this. Abram had just come out of Egypt, a place where he struggled and made mistakes. But the first thing he does when he returns is go back to the altar, the place where he had once called on the Lord. Sometimes in our walk with God we drift. Sometimes we fall short. But just like Abram, we can always return to the place of worship. God is faithful to meet us again when we call on his name. Genesis 13:5-7. Now, Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents. But the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. Commentary. Do you see what's happening? The blessing was so big that it actually caused problems. Sometimes the very things we prayed for, growth, success, increase, can bring tension. But how we handle those moments shows our true character. Will we cling to pride, or will we lean on God to guide us through conflict? Genesis 13:8-9. So Abram said to Lot, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." Commentary. Here's the heart of Abram. Humility and peace. He could have demanded his way. He could have claimed his right as the elder. But instead, Abram trusted God enough to let Lot choose first. Friends, that's faith. Real faith says, I don't have to fight for what's mine, because what God has for me cannot be taken away. Genesis 13:10-13. Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan toward Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out toward the east. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord. Commentary. Lot chose based on what looked good to his eyes. The land was fertile, green, and appealing. But not everything that looks good is good for us. Lot's decision eventually led him closer and closer to Sodom, a place of wickedness. This is a reminder for us. Don't base your choices on appearances alone. Ask God for wisdom, because where you plant yourself spiritually will shape your future. Genesis 13:14-17. The Lord said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, "Look around from where you are, to the north and south, to the east and west. All the land that you see, I will give to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you." Commentary. Do you see the timing? Only after Lot separated did God speak to Abram again. Sometimes God's next instruction for us won't come until after we let go of something or someone. Separation can be painful, but it can also open the door to new promises. And God doesn't just give Abram land, he gives him a vision for generations to come. When God speaks into your life, he's not only thinking of you, he's thinking of your children and their children after you. Genesis 13:18. So Abram went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tents. There he built an altar to the Lord. Commentary. Abram started with an altar, and he ends with an altar. Worship was the rhythm of his life, and that's the lesson for us. No matter where you go, no matter what blessings or challenges you face, keep building altars of worship. Begin with God, end with God, and everything in between will be held by his hand. If this chapter has encouraged you, take a moment today to think about where God is calling you to trust him more. Maybe in letting go, maybe in choosing peace, or maybe in simply returning to worship. And if this spoke to your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more people can walk with us through God's word together.